Hello everyone. So today I'm riding the Pulsar 150 UG5 with the twin disc. I've been riding this bike for a while. This bike has surprised me so much that no other Pulsar has done before. And many people must be thinking that okay, this has got the looks of the 180. That's it. But stay tuned and I will tell you this bike has got some serious changes. So let's start the review. I will be talking about the design at the very end of this video because there are many more important things to tell you before I tell you about the design. So let's start the engine, and you can directly tell that it's so refined and so quiet. So the best part about this bike that I think is the gearbox. It is so precise, so direct, and gives you such a feeling that you have shifted the gear like so well. It's the best gearbox that I've ever tested on any Bajaj bike, or for the matter on any 150 or 160cc bike till now. It's so good that when you will take a test ride of this bike, you will also feel it. I think the best gearbox in this segment. Next thing, it comes to the engine. So the power and torque figures are the same as the previous 150, but the engine has been tuned and it feels a lot more sporty. The power delivery is so linear. After 6000 RPM, it makes such a good exhaust note. It's such a growly exhaust note, because previously I remember when we used to rev the 150, sound was like the engine will fall apart, but not now. It's so good. Like, this engine loves to rev. The tuning is so good that you won't feel like this is a 150cc bike. You will feel like you are riding a 180. Riding it in city traffic, one thing is for sure, that flicking around this bike, turning it is damn easy. And the thing that really complements this bike in city traffic is the low end torque of the engine and also the slick gearbox that I just told you about. So these things really help in city riding and traffic riding, because most of the owners will be riding this bike in city and day-to-day commute. So in the traffic department, this bike scores very high, and now I will be riding it on a road where there is not a lot of traffic, just to see how this bike will be on the highways and at high speeds. Riding this bike on these bad sections, this bike just glides over bad surfaces like nothing is being transmitted to me. No pothole, nothing. It's so comfortable, like it glides over everything. The suspension setup is on a little bit softer side and it is more comfort oriented, but it's so good for people who want a really comfortable bike, and none of the shocks or jerks are being transmitted to me. It all handles it really well, and the softer suspension setup does not mean that you will have a bad handling on this bike. The handling is really good, but when you lean this bike too much, you will feel a little bit of jiggle because of the soft suspension. That is like obvious, because you cannot have both comfort and extreme sports bike handling. But I'm really impressed by the suspension setup. So comfortable, like riding this bike after my KTM, it feels like I'm riding on a Rolls Royce. It's that good. Carrying speeds of over 60-70 kilometers per hour on this bike is no issue. Not at all. No vibrations at all. Like, the whole 2018 lineup from Bajaj has been so good in the vibration department that no bike has vibrations of any sort, and the same case is here also. No vibrations at all. And I was riding this bike at 80-90 kilometers per hour, and I was constantly riding it there. No vibrations at all. And you can easily ride it on 100 kilometers per hour and you won't be facing any issues. It was around 5,000-6,000 RPM at 100 kilometers per hour, fifth gear, and no vibrations at all. Now talking about the change that is the USP of this bike, and that is the rear disc, and the front disc is also bigger. Talking about the brakes on this thing, really good. Like, there's nothing to complain about this bike. This bike has been tuned and made so well that there's nothing to complain about. So talking about the rear brake, the rear disc, it is very good, very progressive, has that bite, and really good. Talking about the front disc, it's even better. The bite is so progressive and so linear that emergency stops, and for people like newbies and people who will be riding bikes with disc brake for the first time, it will be really good for them to control this bike, to control the braking of this thing, because it is so progressive, so linear. It does not instantly give that bike so it becomes very difficult to control it. No, it has very linear bike, like see. So it is really easy to control the braking of this thing, and with the twin disc setup it's already really good. And now let's talk about the design. So at first you might mistake this bike for a 180 Pulsar 180 because it shares most of its components from that bike. The front shock is like the 180, the rear shock is like the 180 or 220. The rear tires are also wider like the 180, and you can see the whole styling. This comes with now split seats like the 180, and this bike now looks more macho and more like it went to, the 150 went to a gym and gained some muscle mass. It's like that. So it's really beefy. Like before it was like too skinny for me. If I had to buy a 150 Pulsar 150, it was a little bit too skinny because this part and the front tank was like the same, but the rear wheel was so really slim. That was not what I liked, and the styling on this thing really complements the engine, the brakes and the gearbox of this thing. It's so well laid out, like I have no complaints with this bike. So to summarize everything, the design, I will give it like 4 stars out of 5. It is not a very outstanding design, but it is more of a design that everyone will love. Okay, so 4 out of 5 there. Talking about the engine, like Bajaj is really killing the game with the 2018 lineup. It's so quiet, so smooth, really makes awesome noise after 6000 RPM on this bike. No vibrations at all, even at high speeds. And considering this is a 150cc bike, so no issues with heating. This engine has got so much bottom end torque, a really good mid end, and a little bit power is there in the high end also. A really good engine for highways and cities. Overall really good package. So I will give it again 4 out of 5. Brakes, awesome, really awesome. Front one is really good, really progressive braking, very linear, and the bite is very progressive. So again 4 out of 5 for the brakes. Talking about the gearbox, the best part about this bike, and the best part, like this is the gearbox that is the best among all the Pulsars till now that I have tested, because it's so good, so like it gives you so much confidence and leaves you so much satisfied when you shift the gear on this thing, that it becomes a joy, like you want to do it again and again. So this gearbox is like that. So 5 out of 5 for the gearbox, like 5 out of 5. And the thing that many buyers will be interested to know is the mileage. So you can expect mileage between 45 to 50. Now talking about the suspension, really comfortable setup, like it glides over everything. So again 4 out of 5 to the suspension. And though it is on a little bit softer side, a little bit more comfort oriented, but you have to consider that this bike is meant to be comfortable for commuting, and you need that comfortable setup, because if they went with the hard suspension, the ride would have been really hard for daily commuting. So 4 out of 5 for the suspension setup. Now the biggest question that comes to anyone's mind is that should I buy this or the NS 160, because this is 91,000 on road here in Jabalpur, and the NS 160 is 95-96,000 on road Jabalpur. So I will tell you one thing. So if you want a more sporty bike and you want a little bit more power and you can give up a little bit on mileage, so go with the NS 160. An awesome bike. If you have not seen my review for that bike, I will put the link up somewhere. But if you want a bike that is really comfortable, that is really smooth, that is really quiet, and you want a bike for daily commuting, you don't want to hurt your back whenever you go into a pothole, go with this one. An awesome package. Bajaj has nailed it this time. Like there are no issues with this bike. So yeah, this was my review for the Pulsar 150 UG5, and thanks for watching guys. Do hit the like button if you found this video useful. Also subscribe if you haven't till now for more such videos and more such reviews, and turn on the bell notification so that you get notified about my each and every video. And comment down below which one you will buy, this or the NS 160, and what you think about this bike. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. See you in the next video. Bye.